Greetings to all the children, college students, parents, and teachers who are a part of the community of Khula Aasmaan. I am Rucha Damle from Mumbai, and I have been a part of this community since my childhood. I have also been a medal winner in earlier Khula Aasmaan contests. I was really fortunate to be introduced to the community of Khula Aasmaan since a very young age by my art teacher. As a child starting to explore different fields of art and design, I was always very excited to participate in all of the Khula Aasmaan contests and events. So I think as children, we are often told in society that skill is the only important factor in a piece of art. I think in such conditions, a platform like Khula Aasmaan, which encourages creative expression and freedom of expression, is very important. The Khula Aasmaan events were always very fun and inspiring to participate in, since after every contest, after seeing the works of my fellow creators, I always return home with a newfound motivation and inspiration to create more artworks. One distinct thing I remember from the Khula Aasmaan monthly contests is the fact that in the list of themes for every monthly contest, there was always an option of open theme, which meant that the participants were allowed to go beyond the listed topics and themes and create anything to express themselves. And so I always had a lot of fun submitting a diverse collection of artworks in every monthly contest. So I think Khula Aasmaan is a wonderful platform which not only encourages exploring and learning new techniques of art through informative videos, but it also encourages children to use art as a medium to express themselves. I think the name itself, Khula Aasmaan, encapsulates their amazing initiative in the art world. Khula Aasmaan also encourages young artists to form their own webpage as a collection of their artworks. I think that this is a great idea since it encourages children to present all of their artworks in one place, and it also enables them to see their progress in one place. I was also able to include my Khula Aasmaan webpage link in my portfolio, which I submitted to various art and design universities. So, firstly, I would like to start by giving some information on design exams in India. So, for pursuing a bachelor's in design, BDes, in India, one has an overall 4 options. So the first option is NID, which is the National Institute of Design. It offers a bachelor's in design in many fields like product design, graphic design, interior design, film and video design, textile design, etc. A more detailed information on these various programs offered would be available on their official website. So, for getting admission into the National Institute of Design, one has to first give an entrance exam. So, the entrance exam for NID is called NID prelims, and it consists of 2 parts. The first part is called the General Ability Test, GAT, and it includes various types of MCQ questions based on general knowledge, logical ability, basic mathematics, English comprehension, etc. So during the 2021 attempt of NID entrance exam, the GAT or the General Ability Test consisted of 40 marks. The second part of the entrance exam is the DAT, which is the Drawing Ability Test, and it basically consists of subjective questions based on perspective drawing, spatial ability, human and object proportions, creative thinking, storytelling, etc. There is no specific pattern for that, and during the 2021 attempt, the drawing ability test consisted of 60 marks. So in total, the entrance exam usually consists of 100 marks. It should, however, be noted that the pattern of the NID entrance exam changes from time to time. The second option to do a BDes in India is to apply to NIFT, which is the National Institute of Fashion Technology. This institute would be ideal for fashion designing aspirants. The official website of NIFT would give a more detailed account of their entrance exams and the other procedures for getting into NIFT. The third option to do a BDES in India is to give the entrance exam of UCED, which stands for Undergraduate Common Entrance Exam for Design. It is the entrance exam for getting admission to the BDES, that is the Bachelor of Design programs, at IIT Bombay, IIT Guwahati, IIT Hyderabad, and IIT DM Jabalpur. So, more details about this entrance exam would be available on the official website of UCED. The fourth option is to apply to other design institutes. There are many good private design institutes which offer BDES programs like MIT ID, UID, Srishti Institute of Art and Design, etc. The pattern for the entrance exams of these institutes is similar to the pattern of NID. More information on them would be available on their respective official websites. Now I would like to share with you the details of how I went about preparing for admission to a leading design institution for my undergraduate studies. I have been selected to join National Institute of Design NID Ahmedabad for the 4-year course of BDES commencing in September 2021. So I had chosen HSC Arts as my stream in junior college because I felt that it would be compatible with my preparation for design entrance exams. I would suggest choosing a junior college close to your home, as commuting to college can drain a lot of precious energy which could otherwise be spent in working on your design preparation. So now I would like to talk specifically about how I prepared and what preparation I did in 11th grade. I think that 11th grade is the best time to focus on learning the basics of design drawing. I focused on learning object drawing, perspective drawing, human figure drawing, color theory, scale and proportion, elements and principles of design, etc. in 11th grade. I think using the time in 11th grade wisely to develop your skills in all of these foundational topics is very important, as it will enable you to focus on the paper pattern of exams, time management, and solving papers later in 12th grade. So, apart from learning all of these topics and practicing them, I would also live sketch every day in the local train on my way to my college. I think that live sketching is an excellent way to develop your observation in the real world, and when it comes time to solving papers, if you have observed the real world while live sketching, it is much easier to quickly draw and create scenes which are more authentic in the entrance exams. So, live sketching will enable you to notice different spaces and people around you much more closely. This way, you will be able to visualize and draw much more quickly in your exams. I would also occasionally read GK information in newspapers or on the internet. I would solve quizzes based on art and architecture, cultural topics, and also logical ability. I was also making a lot of time to create art for myself, simply because I still wanted to keep that practice of creating something just to express oneself. So a lot of these extracurricular art pieces would be useful because I included them in my portfolio later on. So for the first few months of 12th grade, I focused on developing the foundational topics which I mentioned earlier, like perspective drawing, object drawing, etc. I spent a lot of time developing these topics and getting better at them and drawing more in detail. I think that being good in perspective drawing especially can take a while, and hence it is really important to keep a regular practice with it. I was also regularly solving many math and logic quizzes, GK quizzes, and I was reading the daily news for 30 minutes every day. I also started to solve the NID past papers, many of which are available on the internet for free. I had not yet started to time myself for the papers because I was still in the learning and practicing phase. I would randomly pick out questions from various past papers for practicing both GAT and DAT, which is the general ability test and the drawing ability test. I would usually set myself a fixed time, usually early in the morning, to practice all of these various topics. If I felt a little bored throughout the day, I would start live sketching my house, the people around me, and I would really enjoy drawing the people and cars on the busy road near my house. Keeping a regular practice of human figure drawing is also really important. I also think that keeping a planner, bullet journal, or some sort of an organization system is really important because 12th grade can be quite overwhelming with many different classes and homeworks and commitments, etc. So, planning also helps in making sure that you are aware of the different application form dates and the deadlines for the various design institutes that you are interested in applying to. Alongside preparing for the exams, I was also focusing on creating art for myself. I was slowly developing an idea of how I wanted to present my portfolio. In the latter half of the year, I started solving NID mock papers. I think having a practice of solving papers by timing yourself is very important because it will give you a fair idea of your strengths, weaknesses, what kind of questions take more time for you to solve, what kind of questions you find easy, etc. I think one should start solving papers at least 2 months before the exam. Solving one paper every week is a good way to start. Solving mock papers also accustoms you to the idea of focusing well on the paper for 3 hours without interruptions. So when it is time for you to actually sit for the exam, your mind will be at ease because you have already practiced solving papers before. I think solving at least 10 mock papers and timing yourself for them before the exam is important. So, as my exam was nearing, I was spending most of my time in the day practicing something or the other. I think it is really important to make the process of practicing for these exams as fun as possible. So, if I needed to practice something or finish a homework assignment, in spite of feeling bored, I would listen to my favorite songs while practicing. It is, however, very important to take breaks and partake in your favorite hobbies from time to time throughout the day. Blocking certain parts of your day for specific things also really helped me. For example, I would always solve papers in the morning because that would just work better for me than spending the day and then solving the paper in the evening. So after solving papers in the morning, I would take a break and then I would catch up on daily news, I would solve some quizzes, etc. Then as the day went by, I practiced various different assignments, drawing assignments, or I would live sketch while also taking breaks in between. So keeping a temporary portfolio ready by say November is important so that as you create more things, you can make changes along the way. I would recommend using Google Slides for creating your portfolio because it is very user-friendly and it automatically saves all the minute changes that you make in your Google Drive, so you don't have to worry about specifically saving portfolio every time you make a small change in it. Now I would like to talk about the actual NID prelims exam and my experience with it. So the NID prelim exam is the first phase of the total procedure. The exam is of a 3-hour duration and it consists of 2 parts. GAT, that is General Ability Test, which is for 40 marks, and DAT, which stands for Drawing Ability Test, which is for 60 marks. So the total paper is altogether of 100 marks. So in my exam, once the paper was handed to me, I observed all of the questions in both parts and decided that I would solve the GAT part, that is the MCQ questions first, because the questions seemed pretty easy and after completing that, I could focus entirely on the drawing part. I took approximately 35 minutes to be completely done with the GAT part. I checked all my answers once in this time. After that, I started solving the subjective drawing questions. So there were 6 questions, all of different marks in the drawing part, and I decided to dedicate the most time to the question with the most marks. And after focusing on that, I slowly made my way through the other questions, solving the questions with the least number of marks at the end. So I solved my entire paper in pencil first. I had brought color pencils with me for the exam, but I did not feel the need to use them at all in my paper. I think using colors in the drawing questions is completely a matter of choice. If one thinks that the use of color in a particular answer will emphasize on the message and the idea conveyed in the answer, then using color would be a bonus. However, I would advise completing the entire paper in pencil first before using color, so that at least your paper will be complete and you will not miss any questions simply because you spent a lot of time in coloring the other questions. So the thought of going to the exam hall and giving the exam used to make me really anxious at first, but as I solved many mock papers at home, by timing myself for 3 hours, I realized that all we have to do is answer each question authentically. Spending time in thinking what the examiners will think of your answer is time wasted. I tried to keep my cool during the paper and I answered every question with attention to detail, and I also had fun solving it. The best part about that part of the paper, that is the drawing part, is that there cannot be any wrong answers. I would advise checking the GAT part, that is the MCQ questions part, twice, because it is possible to get full marks in this part owing to the objective pattern of the questions in that part. So now I'll talk about phase 2 of the whole procedure, which is called NID mains, and it consists of the portfolio and the theme poster. So first I'll discuss the theme poster. So for NID mains, we had to submit our portfolio and the theme poster in a total of 10 days. The topics for the poster were: first, depict through drawing an event that inspired and motivated you in life, and second, draw the situation and experience of waiting in a line. So the theme poster could be done in any medium on an A3 size paper. As to how I went about making the poster, I spent the first 2 days in finalizing the topic and the theme of my poster. So I chose the first topic, which is depict through drawing an event that inspired and motivated you in life. So I think choosing a story that you are very attached to and one which means a lot to you is important. So an advice I received from one of my teachers about choosing and finalizing the story that I wanted to convey through the theme poster was that treat NID as a person and try to remember which exciting story from your life you would like to narrate to them. So I did my entire poster using poster colors. I think that choosing a medium which you are really accustomed to is important owing to the limited time available for creating the poster. After finalizing the topic and story, which took about 2 days, I wanted to express in my poster. So after the first 2 days, I proceeded to drawing mini layouts for my poster. I think in this phase, experimenting with a lot of different layouts is very important. I tried to escape the limited confines of my mind and drew a wide range of layouts. And I slowly started drawing layouts on an A3 size sheet so that I could get an idea of how they would actually look in the required A3 size of paper. So after spending 2 more days in finalizing the layout, I then started to make a rough poster and started experimenting with color themes. So it isn't possible to be completely decided with everything beforehand. So on the 6th day, I proceeded to completing the final drawing in pencil. Then I spent about 2 days completing and editing the final poster. So I would suggest enjoying the process as much as you can. This is why it is really important to choose a story that you are really passionate about and a story which really means a lot to you. So I submitted the poster a day before the last day of submission so as to avoid any last minute technical difficulties. So now I would like to talk about the portfolio. So I worked on the theme poster and portfolio simultaneously. Since I had the basic format and layout of my portfolio ready, I only had to make additional edits and changes in it. So whenever I got bored of working on the theme poster, I worked on my portfolio because that was more of a technical job. I asked for feedback from a lot of my teachers and I made changes accordingly. I think that a portfolio is simply a compilation of your most authentic work. I think it should consist of your favorite works on which you have a lot to say. So, a diverse portfolio is always a bonus. It is important to pay attention to details like color theme, placement of the pictures, presenting the portfolio as a whole, and adding explanations wherever needed. Since all of this takes a lot of time to build, it is important to have a basic temporary portfolio ready before phase 2 starts so that you don't have to start from scratch during the deadline. So, this is basically how I went about planning and preparing for admission to the course that I wanted to pursue in NID. So, I would like to thank Khula Aasmaan for inviting me to share my experience. I hope that this helps all those who are aspiring to study design and make it their career. I am very, very grateful to Khula Aasmaan, my teachers, and my parents for having supported me all the way in this journey. Thank you.